Sitting with Dr. M is such a joy, and we have the rays of sun blessing
of
us.
sun.
And may that continue to enlighten us with light of joy and prosperity both. Thank
My
you.
wishes to all of you to have a great life.
सेवा, शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का यह पथ मैं इसे और भी दृढ़ता से अपनाऊंगा। शंकराचार्य जी के आशीर्वाद ने मुझे नई ऊर्जा दी है।
It's a privilege and honor on the streets of New Delhi, sitting with one and only Dr. M. Raja Rishi ji. So Raja Rishi ji, Dr. M has lived life in a way which is quite unique. And presently, while you are looking at beyond 100, and last time I met you at Varanasi, you were talking about inspiring NRIs to return to India. How do you feel about your success so far on that front?
The point is this, that you have to prepare as you go above 75 or above 60, that where are you going to die? Because it's important that you plan your death, and you should be at the top of your career when you die. So one is you have built your career in US, wherever, but if you come back to India and you take your career to the next level, because India is a very developing country, and I find there are a lot of opportunity in this country, and people who have been successful outside, it's easy to be successful here because it's your own country and you know the people, you know the language. So I feel that it's much easier to make money here. So I decided at the age of 75 to come back. But before I came back, I had a talk with one of the, with the UP government and with the Prime Minister at that time. I want my permission of the project before I land here. Because if I come here and the permissions do not come, then it's frustrating. So I did a project, and I got permission on 19th February 2024. So then on 1st April, which is the financial year, I shifted to Bharat, and this has been a very good journey. It's nearly 9 months now, and I have made more plans to invest here, and I find that I will be able to build a $1 billion empire, more than that, in India. So I built this empire outside India. Now I want to build that in India. But apart from building the business, I also understanding Bharat, because I travel a lot all over the country. You have to understand the market, you have to understand the people. And last 25 years I've been out. The whole population of Bharat has increased by 50%. Because 50% of the people in Bharat are below 25. That means they were born after I left India. So that's a very amazing situation where you are working with a lot of youth, and these youth are all educated well. They speak English language, global language. They are very tech savvy. They use iPhone, and during COVID, a lot of them studied on iPhone, through the mobile phone, through the smartphone. So they have experienced through COVID a total transformation of India to make it tech savvy, make it IT savvy, make it AI savvy. And this has COVID has been very good from that angle. So when the school closed, the teaching still went, and they all paid the fees also. So what happened is that was the very big training in the sense, and India is ready for taking its position in the global platform. And I think this is realized by especially people in US, and they feel that Indians have done so well outside. Our ITs, our IIMs, our AIMS, all these big institutes in India, where there's a big rush to get in, and it from 1 to people get in 1 in 10,000 or something. So once you have these high quality people in the country, then you have the people, you have the cost is low. So it's not a big rocket science to feel that you can make money in India. All the global companies are here, everybody is here, and it will also change your life in the way that you will be able to live beyond 100, in my view, provided you lead a healthy life, you avoid pollution, if not outside, inside where you live, or live in a place which is less pollution. So these are a few of the things. If you do and you have a good habits, you can live beyond 100.
Talking about good habits and talking about Purushartha, which are part of Indian way of living, Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha, Purusharthas, and I hear from saints that now new generation or the modern people, the way they are looking at growth, they are not paying enough attention on Dharma and Moksha aspect. More attention is being given to Artha and Kama. So let us begin with the most interesting of these four Purusharthas, that is Kama. So your take and views about the Purushartha Kama and the meaning that you take from it.
So if you know, the world is made of 50% woman, 50% man. And the woman has a different kind of energy, a different kind of what I call intellect than man. So if these two intellect come together, then you become, both of them become very powerful. And they come through this way of Kama. And the Kama does not mean only sex. Kama could mean love, being together, but it's a relationship which you create between man and woman to take bigger jobs or bigger opportunity. And Kama has always taken a big place in the Indian thinking, and even Adi Shankaracharya has written a lot on this. Even you see Khajuraho temple and some of them, where how the woman is satisfied and also the man is satisfied. Woman takes more time to satisfy, a difficult way to satisfy it, but there are ways to do it, and that's why the Kama Shastra is also there. So I think it's important, this relationship, a happy relationship between man and woman is very, very important for the other three, Dharma, Artha and Moksha. Because then you are able to live a satisfied life of a human being, which is there.
Talking about a happy relationship between a man and woman, and then remembering Lord Rama and Ekapatni Vrata, and talking about the way character is perceived, and then also looking at the psychological aspect where there are certain taboos, as people say, in Indian society, etc. So coming back to what you just mentioned about happy relationship between man and woman, so having commitment towards one women or one man, and the current status of Grihastha Ashram as you see in India, your thoughts?
So I think, after Rama, you talked of Rama, but there was Krishna. And Krishna was the next avatar. And Krishna had many wives. And Krishna also had, a very good understanding with women. Even most of the women take Krishna as their ideal in India. So in this situation, Indian law, like any other laws, allows you to have only one wife. In the past, you would have multi-wife. At my father's time, grandfather time, they had more than one wife. But now, under the law, it's only one wife. But you can also have the relationship through friendship. Relationship is not only that you have sex. You can do many things where your relationship becomes a happy relationship. Sex is only one part of it. So if you have a wife, you can satisfy a relationship about sex with your wife. But as far as the friendship is concerned, which is more important, where you are able to exploit, you can do business together, you can do many things together, there it's not necessary that you earn your earth with your wife, or whether wife is important to have children, which is there. But apart from that, you can have partners in business, you can have partners in what you call Dharam journey, you can have partners who can help you to reach a moksha. So this is not something to do with husband-wife. This is something to do with the relationship between man and woman, which energize both of them. That's very important. That you feel a relationship helps you to grow and helps you to have more energy, so that you can with big vigor do your job, and that comes when both of you have the same aim and they have same understanding.
This point very well understood from Dr. M. And while we are focusing on karma, if I say calm also suggests a sense of desire and the pursuit of fulfilling desire or realizing certain visions to accomplish certain things. So all that would also, I think earth and karma are nearby because I think karma involves the approach towards reality.
आज का दिन वो दिन है जो मैंने बहुत सालों पहले देखा था कि मेरा जो घर है वो मोदीपुर में बनेगा और इस शहर से हम ऐसा मैसेज भारत में नहीं पूरे विश्व में देखेंगे कि भारत डेवलप नेशन कैसे बनता है। हम लोग बहुत भाग्यशाली हैं कि इस देश में हम पैदा हुए। मेरी माता ने मुझे शुरू से डायरेक्ट कहा है कि बनना मत, हारना मत, जब तक भारत विश्व गुरु बन जाए और भारत डेवलप नेशन।
Allow me to mention, in general we hear when you want to work on your spiritual growth, you get the advice or some subtle hints that you should have a state of desirelessness. How do you see this both? Because you are also pursuing your spiritual interests and as well as you have come here and you are establishing Modipur city on this front, your take?
Look, the Grahast Ashram in India is till 50, and that is where you have your children. So one thing is you have sex to have children. That's a different ballgame. The second is that you find partner who both of you are saying that okay, we have this path of life which we want to lead, and you become colleagues and you pursue that path together, and that is a greater relationship than just a wife, because wife is also the mother of your children and she is also having her own parents, her own life, so she cannot be devote her full life to you. But if you have somebody else who is ready to devote that whole life to you and you have a similar thing for her, then those partnership can help you to make earth also, wealth also. That partnership can help you to become a global citizen, being social all over the world. That partnership can help you reach your moksha, and because in life your wife may die early, something may happen, so you have your own journey after 75, and in that journey you leave people who can be with you beyond 100, and those people can be multiple because they may get sick, they may die, whatever it is. So you should not depend on somebody. It's your journey. So your wife does not control your life. She has her own life. If she wants to control you, you will start controlling her. So this is not good for any of them. So both of you should have that understanding. Ultimately, you have to die alone, and you have your own moksha. She has her own moksha. She has her own path. Before the marriage, she was born because of her own work in the last life. You are born because of your last life. It's only during marriage when you are already around 25. But before 25, you are separate in any case. And after 75, also you are separate. And after 60, 50, you won't own one place where you become one with the global thing, where you may have wife with you or you may have friends with you.
Let me rephrase, or rather the extension or the other part of my question relates to having the will to, let's say, come back to India and work on projects like Modipur city as you are doing. And let's take a hypothetical scenario with your understanding of Acharya Sringa's Advait, your interest in spiritual development. One scenario could have been that Dr. M would decide that I have enough money and I just settle down and totally devote myself towards inner journey of through meditation, or so not be as involved, as dynamic, as action oriented as you right now are. So what is the difference that gives you the seed of coming up with new ideas, innovative ways of making things happen, etc.?
Your experience which you get does not die with you. Even if you gain more experience, but you don't leave the past experience. You can live the past life, but your knowledge remains with you. And that knowledge which you get from the spiritual life also adds to your materialistic life. So you have that knowledge of both, and you can keep using both knowledges. But the key is to keep your mind working. You know, you have this big problem of what they call of dementia and all these things, because you're keeping your mind not busy all the time. The mind has to work virtually all the time. Even if you sleep, the mind is still working. So human body does not require rest. Human body is to be continuously use their effort. That's why it's called Purusharth, for all the four things, even for the moksha, even for dharam. So all things are required this body. Without this body and without this mind, neither you can do dharam nor moksha. So the main thing is how to live a full life where you are using your mind full time. And that will only happen if you keep adding things on your mind, not subtracting. So what you have learned, use that, and what you more learn, use that. So when I came to India, I got this title of Raja Rishi, where they said you have a materialistic wealth, you are like a king, but you also are Rishi because you are pursuing the spiritual side of it. So it's a balance. The life is a balance of both. And if you have balance, then only you get happiness. If you have one and not the other, the happiness does not come. And happiness comes from being constantly on work. Work is like meditating. Like I am talking to you. So this is like meditation. I can't think of anything else. So if you are working, talking and doing work, you live a full life. And you should live every minute. Why should you not use part of your life and the experience which you had in the past?
I think this is a very fascinating idea that you make 100% use of your mind, and many of us probably do not make adequate use of the mind that is given to us. Now let us go to learn more about mind from you, and as the Raja Rishi group has diversified interests, and you are at fields like mobility, healthcare, telecom, then electric vehicle. So all these are so diverse, and then you have also given some innovative technology offered to the society. Where do you see the secret of this kind of smart working of your mind, and do you think this is something which is a gift or it can be developed?
Detachment. So when you try to do new business, you get rid of your old business. So when you keep building, you keep selling the old business, so that you don't try to do the old and new both. It does two things. One is you can focus on your today's business, not on your past business. Secondly, you generate enough cash, so you are not short of cash at any time. So your cash flow is very positive. A lot of people accumulate businesses, and they accumulate it for next generations and all that. Now the next generation want to do their own business. They don't require your business. They may require some support on the cash side or on the property side, but not on the business side. So you have to detach yourself with your past business. So I've sold most of my business of the past, including telecom, including Xerox. A lot of business my outside India I built. So that gives me enough cash to build new business. And now I'm doing new business where I'm using a new technology of building a city where I am using reinforced concrete and things like that, which is not used in India. Plus I'm building in the medical side long life, longevity, where we have businesses where we make you people to live beyond 100, to find your diseases much early than it was detected earlier. So we diagnose people who have no symptoms, and on that basis we detect your cancer, your heart, your any kind of disease, and we treat it. Because earlier you catch the disease, you can treat it. If the disease you let it live in your body, it becomes you die because of that. So there are a lot of fatal diseases which has to be corrected as they happen, and we have a company for that also. So I am getting all new businesses, and the old businesses you talk about, I have sold them, and that gave me enough cash. to do the new business. So you have to be detached with the thing. So I built a new house, which you saw in one Pratyaya Road. I'm selling it. I built another one. So it's not that I'm attached to anything. So people get attached to that this business I've been doing for 30 years, I'll continue. Why? You must be innovative enough to come to new businesses. So if you live in present, all that happens. But if you live in past, it does not happen. So main thing is to live in present and do businesses which are today's business, not the past business. So if I set up today telecom, it has no meaning because now we have moved to AI. If we did Xerox at that time, that's no meaning because that's technology has changed. So world is changing because of technology, and technology and business are synonymous. So you have to get new business with new technologies, and that's what I do. I've done that in past. I'm still doing it, and that is also a lot of new learning when you do new business. So you're not doing just business; you are learning new businesses, and that keeps your mind very, evolving. With the innovation, your mind also evolves.
So that evolution is felt by people who are around you. Like I feel there is a young person I'm talking to, and there is that energetic feel around you, which is inspiring also, and where you try to learn what is it that is helping Dr. M see beyond the limitations. Talking about going beyond limitations, as we have talked about your entrepreneurial side, going towards your interest in Mahakumbh. You have a Raja Rishi city, tent city that usually is associated with Mahatma Ji's and Akhadas, and you don't expect an entrepreneur to go there. I think you are the only one I know about. There might be others also. So what is it about Mahakumbh that has drawn your attention and energy and resources?
I have attended many kumbhs. Every 12 years I attend. I've been attending kumbhs from when I was 17, 18. So what happens is every 12 years the world changes. The technology changes. So the technology which you see in this kumbh and what the last kumbh is totally different. And this kumbh comes after 144 years. So if you go back 144 years, and then you are talking of 1800, something. That time, 60 or something, that time the world population was only 250 million. Now the world population has moved to 8 billion plus. So in this kumbh, you are having 400 million people attending it. So first thing is the type of gathering you have is never before. In last kumbh, no other kumbh have that. Secondly, the people who come to this kumbh are coming who are having this new way of living, who lives today, and they are doing today. The Mahatmas are also new. So you don't have the same Mahatmas of the past we used to be in the caves and all that. These Mahatmas are also changing. Even Shankaracharyas are now interacting. They want to discuss things. They want to convince people what Advaita is, what Sanatan is, what Vedas are. So now these have become common things. They are all in English. Vedas are in English. All literature of Shankaracharya is in English. All literature of the past in English. So communication has become very easy. Previously it used to be in Sanskrit. So you have to learn Sanskrit to know literature on spirituality. Now everything is in English. So there is no issue. So I tell people, if you want to discuss in Sanskrit, talk to Shankaracharya. If you want to talk in English, talk to me. You will get same answers from Shankaracharya and me, but in different language.
So looking at your answer on Advaita as we conclude, finally, how do you see you are practicing Advaita philosophy in your own life?
So I have realized this over time that the real visible God is Sun. So there is a relationship between Sun and human, and that relationship means that you are constantly in touch with the God, because if the God is Sun and you are living a life, every morning you see, every evening you see. So the point is this: you feel that in your body there is what they call is a certain gap which they call soul or Atma. So either you make it alive, otherwise that hole is filled with wrong things. And this hole I fill with the sun, which is God. That way my body is full. It has no negativity in it. For negativity to come in, you have to leave part of the body empty. And that, if you put that God in there, then your body is full. Then there is no a negative place for negativity. Because body has to be filled. It is not just material. It is material and what they call the empty space, which they may call Atma or soul or anything. So how do you fill that that in your body? And that is where I think the key question of connecting with the God is. And also I feel God is real. God is not something which is imaginative. Because a lot of people feel, is God there, not there, I have not seen God. How you define God? Is there a lot of human gods are created, but they are not gods. God is the one who creates everything. It's a cycle of destruction, creation, evolution. This is what God is. So, and that is going for thousands of years. So earth, the real visible God is only sun. So if you take that, then you can fill your inside with light. So then you have that light inside you and outside.
So as we conclude, I appreciate you building Modipur Sun City, and I come from Sun City, Jodhpur.
Yes.
So there is a common thread there also, and where we have arrived now in our physical journey also, where India has arrived with this year's Ganatantra Divas. Your take on the satisfaction of where we are as Bharat?
So Ganatantra Divas is the day we made our constitution, and it's important to reflect on that during Kumbh. Because the world is changing. Our constitution also have changed with time. We have to be ready for a global constitution where we are one with the people of the world, especially the US and the democratic world, who believe in God. So there are two kinds of world where people believe in God and not believe in God. So our constitution should be such which are the people who believe in God, like US. And that should also align, the constitution should not come in the way of dealing with the citizens of the world. So you should have a global citizen concept in our concept, which is beyond religion, beyond nationality, beyond gender. Because when Vedas came, there was no religion. So if you want to create a Vedic society, or the society which is base of a Sanatan society, you have to think the whole world as your family.
Jai Sanatan Dharma, Jai Bharat. Jai Sanatan Dharma, Jai Bharat.
And that is where our constitution should reflect that. So maybe there are changes required in our constitution to make us global citizens.
Wonderful. So I thank you. Let me just quickly recollect with you the quotation from dollar bill, which is "In God we trust," and you said God is real. So I think dollar has its up value because it is the trust in God. So thank you very much. Such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanking Dr. M. Thanking all of you for being with us. This is Ashok.